where the next panel is about to come, and this is something very special for me, because to be honest, I step out of my comfort zone with that topic a bit, because yes, we're talking about social commerce and social channels, and everyone knows that. It's all around. Probably everyone has an account in the audience here. But when it comes to purchasing or seeing it as a platform where you can buy stuff, I must say I'm a bit of a dinosaur here, to put that on me, Marcel. And we want to elaborate if that's really something that shapes the future for digital commerce, and especially maybe fashion commerce. And we will look at those trend topics like TikTok and trend platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and something that is called live shopping. Because live shopping, back in my days, because I'm very old, as you must know, was not cool. It was on television, and it was rather odd, and you didn't want to buy something. I did, and it was not good. So live shopping is coming back, and we want to see if that's something that is valuable as a channel for sellers and buyers, or is it just a marketing channel to promote some stuff? And I'm very happy to have two fantastic individuals to talk with me about that. And so I welcome on stage and give a big applause for Karoline Gross from Smartzer and Marcel Brindoepke from heyconnect. So welcome, nice to have you here. I hope you enjoyed the day so far.
Awesome, yeah, it's great,
awesome.
As expected.
Enjoyed the food as well?
That was nice.
That was nice, okay.
Needed after the long queue, but it was nice.
Yeah, at the end there was a second queue.
All right, yeah, I just came to the second queue.
After I was waiting. No, no matter.
Quite lucky.
Well, so now that we're here, we're getting into the topic in a minute, but first of all, I would love that you introduce yourselves to the audience, a bit also maybe talking about what you're doing in the professional life, but also what you're doing when you're not working. So what's the one thing you do when you're not working, what you really love to do? And of course, Karoline kicks this off, so if you might.
Yes, so I'm Karoline. I guess I started my work career in medical school, dropped out, and then somehow ended up starting Smartzer, which is a technology company about 8 years ago. And what I do outside of what I'd love to do more of actually is pottery, a bit random, but very good for...
Pottery?
Yes. You know the...
Oh, yes.
Like ghost?
Yeah, you like ghost, yeah.
And skiing.
And skiing? Where?
Switzerland mainly.
In Switzerland, okay. UK a little bit.
UK a bit difficult.
Okay, thank you. Marcel.
Nice, yeah. Hi, I'm Marcel, one of the two founders of a company called heyconnect. We connect brands with marketplaces, especially with the help of TradeByte, so that's why we are always happy to be here and get invited. That's basically what I did over the last 12 years, or 10 years now. Worked in the marketplace business now for 17 years. And if I don't work, I love to play with my son or play tennis.
Maybe with your son someday.
One day, yes. And he looks way more talented already now than I ever will be, so that will be fun.
Well, I think for our audience, it's very easy to understand what you're doing, basically, but maybe a bit more difficult, maybe what you're doing. So maybe you can give us a bit more background of what Smartzer is doing.
Yes, so the company was actually started with the idea of making videos interactive so that it's very easy for me to find out more information. I can click on anything I'm interested in to see more details and then do something. So we started the company as building technology that allows anyone to make a video interactive and shoppable, so adding hotspots onto anything. And then last year, we also expanded this into live shopping off the back of the trend that came from China. So now we have a platform that's like a self-service tool where brands can do both and then host these shoppable videos on their website, share them through social, emails, messaging, and so on.
So it's a direct kind of live stream that is implemented into the corporate website, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it could be a live stream, which is hosted on the brand's e-commerce website, for example. And then as the live stream's happening, you can click on any of the products, you can shop them, you can ask questions, like things, and do all the kind of social live stream stuff, plus shopping on top.
That's interesting because we're going to talk a lot about TikTok as, I mean, that one thing that changed or disrupted the social commerce thing maybe more than Instagram did, maybe. But you don't need TikTok to operate with Smartzer, right? It's just, you don't need that.
Standalone, yeah.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to know is maybe from a business and / or personal perspective, what social commerce does mean to you in one sentence. What do you connect with that? What is?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's starting a shopping experience from a social, personal perspective. In my age, we used Facebook when we were young. And so this is where the first examples came up, and people tried to, from an advert to the shopping experience, lead something to a shop. And I was always very skeptical because I said this is not the environment where people want to shop, and it's not nothing where they want to be advertised at. But that, of course, was before there were apps and people scroll through things. And so right now, when I use my social media, which is very limited basically to Instagram, you see advertising, but it's integrated in a way that it's actually interesting. And that this kind of push effect which you have is very vastly different to what we knew before. And if you come like me from a marketplace business, I mean, no one goes to Amazon to spend a good time on that, because you go there because you need something, you possibly know what you want. So it's basically a kind of a pull thingy. You go there because they pull you. Mm-hmm. And social commerce basically gives back a kind of push mechanism, which we all know from if it was maybe shopping TV or catalog business or other mediums who were very able to give you a demand on something which you didn't know you have before. So that's why social commerce, also from a marketplace perspective or shopping perspective, becomes more and more interesting than it was years before. Okay, long sentence, but it's okay. I tried. Yeah. Karoline?
So it's obviously using the main social media platforms to sell products. But I was actually looking up the definition of, is it someone actually transacting instantly within Instagram, and does it still count if I go from Instagram and then go to the website and then buy? I think that's a bit of a gray area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, promoting product.
Promoting product. Because I also read in the preparation that is considered to be more recommendation platform than actual a buying channel. I think we come to that later, because I want to. So thank you for that first round, but start with some facts that I researched about. Let's talk about TikTok for a while. It's the most downloaded app in 2022 of all the apps. It has the most growing time of people spend on TikTok by far. And it has by far the most average time spent per week, which is 20 hours. Now, I don't know if you're using TikTok. I do because I need to prepare when my kids use it, that I know what it's all about. But 20 hours, maybe that'll be in 2 months or so. I don't know. So why is that so successful? Maybe from a user's perspective, but also from a business perspective. But why do all brands want to go there and do something? We try to get more precise then, but why is that? Maybe, Marcel.
Well, I just can say it from a kind of user perspective. I think the gamification, the mechanism makes it kind of addictive. You see interesting bits, uninteresting bits. If it's uninteresting, you flip. If you see something more interesting, I think especially for younger people, it's a new way to interact. They kind of grew up now with interacting in a kind of distant way. So it's all in it to spend a lot of time on your own or with your friends with topics you're interested in. So I think it's a kind of 360-degree spare time and free time adventure. And that's why people love to spend time. I can just say it for myself, even with a low interacting attitude towards social media. When I'm on it, it's really tough to stop. So, and I think maybe in my age, it's even easier to stop when you're a very young person, 16, 18, or even younger. It's much easier for you to get addicted to stuff. And that's why I think it's so successful.
Well, even maybe you don't need to be tech savvy to use it.
Exactly.
You just click it on and not 10 years ago produce a video, edit it, blah, 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 just switch on your phone. And so what do you think makes that outstanding, that TikTok thing?
So for example, if you compare it to Instagram, the content you see, or even if you're flicking through stories, is kind of the same idea, but the content you see there is primarily content from your friends and ads mixed in. On TikTok, it's way less about the kind of your friends' content, but it's like super fun, engaging, these like silly videos that your friends wouldn't be making content like that. Most, at least mine don't. And just having, and I guess that's then something that gives more of the dopamine hit whilst you're like scrolling through and seeing and if it's funny. And I guess for the younger audiences as well, they'll almost have an element of FOMO of I can't miss out on some like trending content because everyone's going to be talking about it, and it's like this stuff that drives it, where I think it's different from Instagram.
But isn't this then more dangerous than nice? If you both had this, you talked about addiction, right? Suddenly you cannot get away from it. So that's the one thing, but that doesn't necessarily lead to buying something. It's just spending time. I spend time with stuff that I don't want to buy something, but why is that so interesting from a business perspective to put on your product? Just, I don't know.
I think for brands, a big interest in TikTok is around kind of a young audience that will in the future become their customer. So they want to be present, they want to be in front of them. So even if it isn't about right now selling products to them, it's being in that where they are basically, and where they are spending 20 hours a week watching stuff, I suppose. And
I also think that for a brand, you can, it's a kind of melting pot between the personal interests of people and your brand is part or becomes part of this personal interest. So there's not this hard border from I spend private time on a medium and then I go to buy something, but it's indeed maybe a bit of gamification that the buying is part of the experience together with someone. I want to have this on my own. I know for myself, sometimes you just buy things because you're bored. You think, yeah, okay, let's do it. It's very easy these days to buy because it's not that you have to create an account and you have to type in your figures. You just use your Apple account or whatever payment service provider you have, or your data is. So it is actually very easy. You have low borders, and for brands, they get into the personal life without pushing on or knocking on the door saying, let me in. But they are, because they are in there. And I think that's
they're part of your community in a way.
Yeah, exactly. A part of the culture, and that's why I think it's also good because you can really target things, which is much easier than on other shopping experiences. So, but yeah, I would also say it's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. So now TikTok might thank us for promoting them so much, but they are not here. Maybe next time. But I want to switch a bit to live shopping because obviously TikTok is a channel that tried out live shopping before as a part of their strategy. And I read that they launched it in the UK in 2021, but it was not as successful as expected. So they didn't, I think they froze it in, I don't know. So, okay, TikTok is super successful. Live shopping is that one of the major trends in digital retail. Why did that not work? They're doing everything right, apparently, but not this.
So, and there's kind of three main reasons behind this. So, first of all, so TikTok kind of went for this live shopping approach because of what happened in China, and because of being a Chinese company, they kind of took, okay, we're going to do exactly what's super successful in China, and we're going to do it in the West. But it doesn't really work like that because there's so many differences in the culture, how people shop, how they experience things. For example, like 98% of shopping in the West happens not on social platforms. It happens on e-com sites, marketplaces, retailer sites, etc. Like people are not comfortable giving their card details to TikTok, for example. Additional problem that happened with it was counterfeit products. So random sellers start selling all these fake items. They may or may not arrive. Like all these things are happening, and it wasn't really something that they could easily control. So it got a little bit out of hand with that. And also from, talking about the experience of what people do with TikTok. It's like watching funny videos and this and that, like for like a few seconds at a time. Suddenly the people who make funny videos are sitting on a table trying to sell you socks. Like it doesn't it's a complete change in how you experience it. So I think the culture as well wasn't really ready for it. I think it will change with time, but it wasn't able to do it at like a flip of a switch, basically. So yeah, there were, and also another challenge as well for brands is it's quite difficult to make money, because average price point of a product you can sell on TikTok is probably like sub £10 a product. You're not going to have that many people buying them, and for you to get an audience, because it's so diluted, is actually quite difficult. Like, you'll have someone with 1 million followers might only have a couple of hundred people concurrently on their live. So it's just, it's distributed in a way where, yeah, to make a profit, it will take time to really build into it.
Yeah, good for you then that it didn't work out.
Well, it promotes the whole concept, but I think for now the better opportunity is doing this on transactional websites, but I think it will even out in the future when they restart this again.
And you said 98%. This is a valid number, I think. I think you looked it up, and there's a different situation in China and the Asian world, right?
Pretty much flipped.
Really?
Everything happens on these so-called social platforms. It's really rare for people to shop on e-com websites. So the whole mindset of doing it is completely different. So that's why as well you can't just take one and apply it to the other.
Yeah. So that thing, not coming back from live shopping to being a commerce channel, seems to work. And I learned at a conference in London in June that a big player like ASOS is producing 360 minutes of social content a week. So you don't do that if you don't have the goal to really get in and you know what you're doing and sell something to make money. Otherwise, you won't have 20 people creating content. So Marcel, maybe for you, like observing the e-commerce circus for a long time now, I'm not talking about dinosaurs or veterans here anymore.
There was no electricity back then, otherwise I would have.
But I mean, when ASOS does something like that, what role do you think does a kind of team or really content creation team play? What role does it play for the big ones? Is that they're really set up as a business channel, or is it still a marketing channel? So what do you think is happening there?
I mean, it's obviously R&D right now, because you have to figure out how things work and what is working, and you have to learn quick and fast. And then if you see that things don't work, you have to adapt. In theory and in general, I think you don't start if you don't think it may become a major issue. And I think there's a lot of monetization in this. It's first of all basically visibility you can sell to brands. Like, you have 500 people watching, 1,000 people watching. Do you want to advertise in this? Then, of course, you have the transactional revenue in there that you can have a share. I think there's a lot of music in the business model as such, and that's why they do it. And I also think that one of the reasons is that in the marketplace business where you're all working in, it's basically same in the end. You have a marketplace, you throw as much as possible products on it, make your shop as good as possible, and then you sell stuff. And there's hardly a differentiation in assortment, because that's basically the idea of a marketplace, to have as much of those as possible. There could be a slight differentiation in targeting customers or in the assortment group, but in theory, that's actually all the same. And I think with the social commerce, there's still a differentiation in how to address a specific target group, in how to have some kind of branding effect, because on a marketplace, to build a brand on a marketplace is literally impossible, because there's so much of it, and even if you have a lovely brand shop, it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's really tough to drag traffic there. So I say that social commerce gives you way more opportunities than your normal business model can have, and I think that's why platforms dig into this to figure out what is the extra bit which this channel can give to their business than others might not.
Now that brings me maybe, I just thought about that, because we also said TikTok or Instagram is easy access, right? It's your community, you just put up your phone, record something, so that's the thing. What you said, or what I wanted to hear, is that if a company starts to like incorporate that in their business goals. You start doing plans, you start giving that a purpose, what goals want you to reach. Isn't that a contradiction to what TikTok is? Because ASOS, I think, won't give their sales manager a phone and says, come do that live shopping thing. They're gonna run through teams, they're gonna make a decision, they're gonna stop it. So, I mean, does the beauty of that easy access doesn't that get lost? And then it's over because it's not attractive anymore if it's kind of everyone's coming in with corporate purposes. Isn't that a problem for them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely very important, whoever does it, to make sure that you don't go into the area of overproducing it and overthinking it, and you have to have that authenticity element. And yeah, I guess it is something you need to be careful of as a brand, not to go too far into.
What are your experiences with that, with your customers? So do they really think 3 weeks about what they do in their live shopping streams? Or do you have the feeling that they are spontaneous and then it's more like, okay, let's set this up here and don't move the camera because the clothes are lying in the corner? Or is it really like a corporate video more?
No, actually, funnily, sometimes I think you should have prepared this a little bit more. I think maybe the challenge is sometimes we've seen brands, for example, use an influencer who doesn't really know their products very well, who kind of shows up last minute and then they try and do the whole thing, but they don't really know that much about them. Whereas when they use the people from their business, because they really know what they're doing already, and they'll pick a person who's good at presenting, so they can kind of just do it. So we've not really seen a problem of going scripted sort of a thing, and also that's so much effort. So I hope that's going to deter.
But it happens that they sometimes hire an influencer to do stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. If I may add, I mean, it's not only that you promote a video, but I mean, if someone buys the goods, they must be in a warehouse. They should be shipped, maybe in the box which recognizes the fact that it was a social media or social commerce buying. So it cannot be that spontaneous, but of course it should look like it. So, but when you have to have your value chain ready behind this, or your supply chain, and the production as such, yes, you can overdo, but it's always like social media. I mean, we had this joke back then when someone wanted to post something on Facebook, and it started on Thursday, and on Monday there was a clearance for the sentence "Have a nice weekend." Mm-hmm. So I mean, of course, this can be way overdone, but indeed the challenge is that it is embedded into this social experience for the potential shopper, as if it would be like any other funny video or a good production. But of course, the work behind it, I mean, the colleagues from Mytos are here, they're doing this in-house. They know that, of course, they can do it, but in the end, if the good isn't shipped to the customer,
you won't come back next time.
You won't come back, yes, exactly.
That's always the same with retail. If it's not operated well, then... But it's funny to come back to the live shopping thing here. As I said in my introduction, that the return of the live shopping for me was a great surprise, because when I grew up, live shopping was slimy thing that happened at night on channel 17. You never wanted to watch that guys washing their cars and trying to sell you that car wash polish or whatever it is, and it was really bad operated, bad actors, really bad. And now suddenly it's a major trend. So what do you think is why is that coming back? Is it the laziness because you don't want to go anywhere and really just watch your stream, buy everything on your mobile, or why is that returning with that big trend thing going on?
Well, I think the old school QVC type of thing, it's proven to work. It really, really does work.
It did work, yeah.
It's still working well. I guess there is an element of, you would pretty much always have the same people. They sell you stuff. They probably know those things pretty well as well, so they actually can be quite informative, as much as you can talk about a blender. And then also having, kind of co-hosts and things as well, but it's the kind of regularity and familiarity that builds trust that then over time makes people buy. When you look at the kind of live shopping on social channels, it's quite interesting to watch it now, because it's a bit like kind of a Wild West of creators doing all sorts of, you have a massive range from people selling things that they have never seen before until actual experts in various areas. And I think over time, it will kind of dilute, like focus out people who actually really are very, very good at presenting, who know the products with different categories, and then suddenly you'll have this massively amplified version of the QVC in a way that really does convert, but it will take a bit of time, because currently kind of everyone can do everything. But it will filter over time, I think.
And I think it makes it very attractive that other than in the QVC, you can just chat and you can react and send a question in or whatever. Yeah. I think that's default. You offer that as well in your service. You
exactly.
Interactive per default. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe that's the beauty of it, that with that new technology, so coming a bit more into the technology thing, because what I experienced is talking about ASOS and 360 minutes, and I'm working in the industry of fashion retail, and I've been on TikTok now for a year and never saw any ad or anything from ASOS there. So how could you make sure that this lands in your stream if you're not looking for it? How do you reach out? So maybe from a technical perspective, what can you do? I don't know if you have the experience that you find what you want, or you're just, something's coming in, whatever it is.
Definitely not an expert on this. I think that social media always have the necessity to make sure that the algorithm mixes known parts, one that you know you're interested in, with unknown parts to test and learn. And even for me, if I once accidentally clicked on an ad for a brand, I get this like in every 5 seconds again. So this happens. But that's basically, I think, how it works. But I'm not an expert on how could you get ASOS in your TikTok feed.Maybe they aren't even on there. So maybe you did everything right, Alex, but it just doesn't work.
Maybe they don't want me to buy some stuff. Do you use something?
I didn't want to say that, but it's.
Again, not an expert really on targeting on social media, but I think it comes back to the point of, it's just very, very diluted. There is so much going on. And I think however the algorithm works, it probably needs multiple different touch points to then really think that, okay, we need to show ASOS to you because you looked at it here, here, and here, and it's going to be priority over other things. But yeah, not in detail. Yeah,
maybe the algorithm they are smart. Somehow. If you ask the algorithm to visit me once and I come back to you all the time, right? That's maybe it. We talked about authenticity and that it might not look too professional what you're doing because that might be a bit too corporate. But what makes the difference from being a good live shopping seller to one that you just don't want to watch?
I think the core thing is the presenter. First of all, they really need to know about whatever they're trying to talk to you about. They have to be relatable. They also need to engage with the audience. So, like when people are asking questions and stuff, like actually respond to them, call them out by name. There are also some live shopping software that will then also, when people are buying stuff, they'll be like, oh, hey, thank you, James, for buying this. And it's very it's definitely live and it's very engaging. Also, from discussions we've had with different people as well, it's quite important for the content not to go to, like there's this term shop-attainment, of like entertaining content that is also shoppable, but if it becomes too entertaining and it's too fun and everything, people completely forgot to shop. So it needs to be a little bit more boring in that sense, also not overproduced. And also what we found in quite a lot of testing is often actually even on TikTok, you see a single person sitting on a table holding these products, but actually it's better to have at least 2, so they can also be talking to each other. Typically you would also then have one person who's an expert from the brand who covers the knowledge part, and then you can bring in an influencer who's the more fun, entertainment, brings a following too, so then you kind of get best of both. And also being regular, because this whole thing is about building trust. Like people want to buy from you because they trust you and know you. So this isn't like, okay, we'll do one live event and everything's amazing. You need to do these things regularly. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. here's on. Because actually even on TikTok, you can't really search for live events, or like you don't know when they're happening. Exactly. It's kind of like completely random. So that could have been one of the things as well, that it's very hard to then go back to something. So yeah, it's multiple things that need to happen, and also where it actually lives. So again, on e-com sites, brands are seeing, like a tiny brand on an e-commerce site will have more viewers on their live shopping event than an influencer with 1 million followers on TikTok. Because people actually come there to watch it specifically, and they love the brand, they want to hear what they're saying instead of swiping through random stuff. So again, where it is as well is super important. Probably in the future it will change, but for now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we learned that we need 2 people, one for the entertainment factor, one for the boring, this is the product factor. That's good. So
answer question.
That helps me maybe when we set up a live shopping channel, that I bring somebody in that really knows what he's talking about, or she.
That would be an idea.
Do you have experience with that? I mean, now have you watched something like that, like recent live shopping?
I came through it. I came across, but I couldn't really relate to it. So it's not in my daily experience. I also think, if I may add, that of course the assortment group of what you buy is also important. If you buy a product, and to my understanding, there's a lot of cosmetics out there, beauty products, a bit fashion, but not very complicated products. It's a lot of with living products in your house. You need a vase there or a little table. These are things people because you also need a low barrier. If it's a high involvement product, you don't possibly do it, because you always have this, should I use it now in that situation to buy it, or should I even think about it? So it must be something where someone can say, I want this, I buy it, almost forget about it, and 3 days later he's happy when he gets the goods. So I think this is also very important, and indeed I have to admit, a couple of product groups I just named are not the ones I shop regularly. So that's possibly why when I see it, it's more from a point of view that I say, wow, that works. And wow, I see how many people interact and spend time watching a TV show where someone sells stuff. And that's, from a business perspective, very interesting, because automatically you ask yourself, why? Why are these people spending a very, very short lifetime watching this and trying or buying some, or watch others buy it? And that's where I come from.
I mean, I think this is like a spiral then, right? You watch your live shopping. I don't know if others can see if the thing's sold. Is there a counter or something? You know, like ding, 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 ding. 72 t-shirts.
It depends on the platform. Yeah, sometimes yes. And it's interesting what you say about the category. Actually, the #1 category for live shopping in China is food. It's people watching live streams of people eating food. And like just eating all day long, and then you can order it, and it will be with you in 15 minutes. So it's again, there's so many different.
So they literally sit there, eat something, and talk about how tasty, delicious this is.
They don't even talk.
They don't talk.
Some of them just eat. Yeah.
How do you know what you're buying then?
It's like you pop up, noodles.
That's what you mean with different culture. This is totally impossible for me.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah.
Wait, nobody wants to watch me eating a cheeseburger. That will be not nice, I think.
We don't test it.
That's interesting. By the way, just one thing, talking about 2 people and presenting how many products and how long does it usually last, a show like that? I mean, it could be 2 hours and presenting 200 t-shirts, or is it important that it's short and to the point and you have that one blue trousers, or is it just longer shows that we're talking about in average?
So what we see on average is between like 20 minutes to an hour, because you also need to remember that people aren't going to be there on time. Like people will join randomly on and off. So you do want to have a bit of repetition. And also, actually tying in, also obviously from the live shopping, you have a lot of analytics points. So you can see, okay, what are people clicking on? What are they interested in? And you can kind of, if you want to do it in a slightly more professional way, you might even have real-time feedback of, okay, like now people are actually really engaging, continue talking about this product, and like talk less about this, and kind of taking a little bit more of the TV shopping idea into doing it if you're doing it as a bigger brand with more capacity. So building in more of the analytics from it as well.
Yeah, also the span of being really watching it. I mean, the younger generation is used to get information really quickly and in no time. And then if you sit there for 2 hours, I think you're going to lose a lot of visitors. That's interesting. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the discussion. I mean, I learned so much already. I'm looking at it very differently now, I think. But Just try to look back, to look to the future a couple of years. We just said maybe it's just the beginning, 98% still non-live shopping or non-social commerce. So what do you think, maybe Marcel first, is happening? Is that a trend, or is that something like 10 years ago is marketplace and D2C a trend? Now it's like common sense in retail. What about those platforms, or let's incorporate live shopping in that whole social commerce universe? What do you think is the next development?
I think if we really go away from does it work in China or here, but if you just see the concept as such, I basically think it's a marketplace business on speed, or will be in the future, because basically what we see today in marketplace business is that we have two different business concepts combined under one brand. You have a technological platform, let's say Amazon or Zalando, they own the technological platform and they own the marketplace business model on it. So what we see in social media is that there's someone, this is kind of departed now, you have someone who's owning the technology platform, which is in that case Instagram or TikTok, and then you have marketplaces on this platform as their own business model. And now the marketplace is the influencer, is the live shopping host. Because the marketplace business model means bringing together brands and consumers in a way that they don't buy stuff. And that's what influencers basically do. They have contact to brands, they present these brands, they have someone in the background doing the supply chain, which is whoever, it's a logistics partner, technology partner, and then they have their followers. And in Germany, we have like 4 or 5 major marketplaces, but we have millions of people being their very great to target marketplace on a technological platform, which enables brands to have a better branding experience, to sell a lot of units from one single product, or they love. Brands don't love to sell a few of many, they like to sell many of few. And that's the great old catalog business model that's coming back to e-commerce. So I basically think that having that in mind, there's a huge potential that the next step on marketplace business will be social commerce. Can't tell if it's in 5 years or in 10 years, but I'm pretty sure that we sit here in 10, 15 years time, being even older dinosaurs than we are now. The old marketplaces, which are now the sponsors here, will hardly be there, but there will be influencers promoting their own brand. I think that's very possible.
That's interesting, yeah. So it might be influencer names on the wall,
yeah,
or influencer businesses. What do you think, Karoline, is happening or already happening? And
yeah, so I think the live shopping thing, it's brilliant for brands because it's giving a way to showcase the products and tell your brand story in a really cheap way. Like, you don't have to spend any money on filming something from an iPhone from your store or your office or showroom or whatever. And I also think in the future people will be able to experience these things on any channel, whether it's social, e-com, marketplace, influencers, website, whatever it is. Right now, it's actually not possible. There's a lot of technical limitations. For example, Instagram live shopping is only available for certain brands who have checkout in the US right now. It's not possible anywhere in Europe or anywhere else. And there's a lot of, these big social platforms from Snapchat and TikTok and whatever, it takes time for them to build in product catalogs and all these capabilities. But I think in the future, there should be a way where I have one centralized point where I can build my live shopping event that then gets spread out everywhere, from my social channels to my marketplaces, e-com, everywhere, and you have this one centralized place where you can host it from to then reach all the different audiences that are following you, because you might have people who see you on TikTok that never go on your website and vice versa. So it needs to be looked at as a kind of a 360 approach, but I do think everything will become shoppable. Probably in like 5 years' time, somewhere like this. It will take time, but that's the direction, at least it seems, that everything is going.
Okay, so very optimistic and positive that this will stay and that will really be a part of our business more than ever. So it's not a trend. This is what we finally can say here. Thank you so much for getting into this with me together, and that was very enlightening, I think. And we have a big hand for those two, Marcel and Karoline. Thank you so much.